As you should know by now, the ticket contract's main purpose with regard to individuals is to allow that individual to buy a seat on a transporter vessel to Mars. Each ticket costs, quote unquote, $1 million, and funds are withheld from the individual's paycheck and go directly into a ticket account, which earns a return at a negotiated rate. The ticket contract also purchases several items for the individual, such as a place to live at the Earth Embassy and on Mars, provides her with free food at a fleet mess hall and on the transporter vessel going to Mars, and also gives the colonists the right to purchase undeveloped real estate on Mars at a discounted price. The ticket contract system captures the labor and intellectual abilities of the individual in order to fund the mission to Mars. I have also discussed two other items of importance related to the ticket contract. First, the children of those with ticket contracts will not have to purchase a ticket to Mars. Rather, their transportation to Mars will be based upon the weight of the child. Second, the ability to transfer tickets to other individuals will be severely limited by the mission to Mars. This will prevent someone from selling their paid-off ticket to someone who has not spent time at the Earth Embassy and has not undergone the necessary training for Mars. Once an individual has paid off the ticket contract, there is a process applicable to assign that person a seat on a transporter to Mars. The process sends people to Mars in order to meet the needs of the colonists on Mars and to attempt to be fair to those who have labored so long at the Earth Embassy. To cite an example of quote unquote meeting the needs of the colonists on Mars, consider the case where 8 farmers at the Earth Embassy have paid off their ticket contracts and where there is a shuttle transporter mission scheduled to launch in a few weeks. This mission has 8 seats available for colonists, 6 on the shuttle and 2 more on the accompanying Explorer transporter. However, on Mars, there is a need for engineers, electricians, and plumbers, since the current system of water extraction on Mars does not produce enough water. The mission to Mars decides to send 8 engineers, electricians, and plumbers on this next mission instead of the 8 farmers. The reason for this decision, of course, is that it makes sense to send the former to Mars to upgrade the systems to extract more water. Sending the farmers, in fact, would exacerbate the problem on Mars, since the new farmers would surely increase demands for water in order to grow their crops. I will now give a few examples of categories for seat assignments to ensure an orderly process for assigning seats to Mars. I have already covered the first category, needs of the Confederation on Mars. These categories are not in any order, nor is this meant to be a complete list of all the likely categories. Each person will be assigned a place in each appropriate category soon after they arrive at the Earth Embassy. Their place in each category's queue will be constantly updated, probably monthly. Remember the farmers from the above example? Let us look at 2 of them. Suppose one farmer was 60 years old and one was 24. The 60-year-old's place in the age queue might be 23. 46 in the skills queue, number 4 in length of time since ticket paid off queue, number 9 in time at Earth Embassy queue, and number 6 in the Reunite Families queue if that man's son was already on Mars. Similarly, the 24-year-old farmer might be number 17 in the queue for children and young adults, number 21 in the skills queue, number 86 in the time since ticket contract paid off, number 45 in the time at the Earth Embassy queue, and have no number at all in the Reunite Families queue since she was not married and had no relatives at the Earth Embassy. This might be managed fairly simply in the age of computers, although obviously some person would need to make decisions about which queues needed to be assigned seats for the given mission and how many seats each queue would receive. This system would, hopefully, create an orderly, transparent, and much less contentious way for the mission to Mars to get its Earth Embassy residents to Mars. Likely, of course, the needs of the colonists category would usually be assigned the most seats. Again, but briefly, as the mission to Mars prepares its next mission for settlers and decides how many seats are available, it will place each seat into one of the 7 categories. So, if there were 108 seats available, to be compatible with the straw man transporter scheme I outlined in an earlier video, where there was 1 caravan, 1 shuttle, and 1 explorer transporter vessel in the mission, those 108 seats might be assigned to categories as follows. Both would be assigned seats on this mission. Why? Neither was needed on Mars by the Confederation. The older farmer had family on Mars, but so did 4 others higher on the list. The younger had no family on Mars. The older farmer was number 4 on the list for time since ticket paid off, so he qualifies in this category. The younger farmer did not qualify yet, even though her ticket contract had been paid off. The older farmer also qualifies for a seat given his age. The younger farmer has not yet been assigned a number in this category since she is so young. The opposite has occurred in the desire to send young people to Mars category. The older man was not assigned a number, and the younger farmer now qualifies for a seat on the mission. Here, we assume that the younger farmer grows things that will again qualify her for a seat. The older farmer is a more generic farmer and does not qualify for this category, as this generic farming skill is not in as much demand on Mars. The last category, the older farmer, again qualifies. The younger farmer has not been at the Earth Embassy as long as the older one and does not qualify under this category. One of the more difficult jobs, then, given to the people who assign seats for Mars will be to decide under which category to send people if they qualify under multiple categories. If you have followed so far, you will see that the older farmer has qualified under 3 categories for a seat, and the younger one has qualified under 2. Those assigning the seats will need to make a decision under which category to assign each qualifying farmer to allow other worthy residents to get to Mars also. To clarify, if a clever person is assigning seats for this mission, and she assigns seats to the 2 farmers under appropriate categories, then other Earth Embassy residents can also travel to Mars on that mission. The number of seats on transporters will not have changed, but the total value to the mission to Mars of the new colonists might therefore be increased. A value judgment, of course, but not an unimportant one. Anyway, this concludes today's video. The main point is not the details of this process, which will surely change as issues are raised within the mission to Mars, but that you understand the intent to try to assign seats fairly, in an orderly fashion, and in a way that helps to ensure the continuing and overall success of the colonies on Mars.